We like to believe that we're independent, that we're strong enough to rise no matter who surrounds us. But that's a dangerous illusion. Human beings are relational creatures. We mirror what we see. We absorb the language, habits, and mindsets of those closest to us. If your circle is rooted in the past, if it's built on comfort, familiarity, and mutual mediocrity, don't be surprised when you find yourself stuck in the same patterns you swore you'd outgrow. It's hard to evolve when you're surrounded by people who keep reminding you of who you used to be. They don't even have to do it intentionally. Sometimes it's in the way they laugh when you mention your goals, or the way they subtly downplay your growth, or how they keep dragging conversations back to the same old stories, the same old problems, the same tired narrative that you're desperately trying to move beyond. And if you're not careful, you'll shrink yourself to fit back into that mold. You'll play small so you don't make others uncomfortable. You'll minimize your hunger for more just to keep the peace. But growth requires friction. It requires challenge. And sometimes that challenge looks like walking away from the people who refuse to grow with you. That's one of the most difficult decisions you'll ever make, not because you don't love them, but because you finally love yourself enough to protect your future. There comes a point when loyalty to your past becomes disloyalty to your potential. And that point usually reveals itself in silence, in those quiet moments when you realize that staying connected to certain people is costing you your progress. Now, that doesn't mean you cut everyone off the moment they disappoint you. It means you pay attention. You ask yourself, is this person helping me rise or pulling me back? Do they speak life into my vision or feed the doubt I'm already fighting? Are they aligned with who I'm becoming, or are they anchored to who I used to be? Your circle should challenge your comfort, not enable it. The right people won't let you settle. They'll confront your excuses. They'll hold you to a higher standard. They'll speak with clarity when your vision gets cloudy. And most of all, they'll respect your growth, even if it means growing apart. Because here's the truth, when you start to change, when you start demanding more from yourself, it exposes the people who are still hiding from their own transformation. And not everyone is ready to face that reflection. You're not responsible for dragging people into their growth. You can inspire them. You can lead by example. But if they choose to stay stuck, if they choose to mock, minimize, or resist your evolution, you have to let them go. Because your future doesn't have room for that weight. Your calling is too serious. Your time is too valuable. You cannot keep watering relationships that are rooted in your old identity and expect to bloom into someone new. And don't be afraid to outgrow people. That's not arrogance. It's alignment. You're not better than them, but you're different now. Your values have shifted. Your standards have changed. Your habits have transformed. That's the cost of self-development. It's lonely at times, uncomfortable, even painful. But the reward is clarity, freedom, strength, and eventually the right people will find you. People who think differently, speak intentionally, and live with vision. People who challenge you not out of criticism, but out of conviction that you are capable of more. When your circle reflects your future, everything changes. Conversations deepen. Goals get clearer. Time gets more sacred. The energy shifts. You feel seen, not for who you were, but for who you're becoming. And that kind of environment doesn't just support your growth, it accelerates it. It sharpens your thinking. It demands your best. It holds you accountable in the quiet hours when no one's watching. And that, more than anything, is what you need if you're serious about leaving the old you behind. So look around. Listen carefully. Be honest about what your relationships are doing in your progress. Because the people you allow close to you, those voices, those values, they're shaping your direction. And if that direction doesn't lead toward the future you're building, it's time to choose again. You can't keep your destiny and your distractions in the same room. Choose your circle like your life depends on it, because in many ways it does. Pain is often misunderstood. Most people treat it like a signal that something's gone wrong, as if discomfort automatically means you're on the wrong path. But what if it's the opposite? What if the pain you're feeling is proof that you're growing, that you're breaking out of patterns that no longer serve you, that you're stepping into a version of yourself that demands more than your past ever required? Growth hurts. Evolution isn't graceful. It's gritty, it's raw, and it's filled with moments that stretch you beyond what you thought you could endure. Think about it. Every meaningful transformation in life, physical, mental, emotional, it requires some level of suffering. You don't get stronger muscles without tearing fibers. You don't build mental toughness without facing resistance. You don't develop emotional resilience without having your heart broken, your plans fail, your ego shattered. Pain is the toll you pay at the door of progress. And if you're in pain right now, not because of recklessness, but because you're doing the work, then maybe you're exactly where you need to be. It's easy to mistake the pain of progress for punishment. You start waking up early, setting boundaries, changing your routine, letting go of unhealthy relationships. And suddenly, life feels heavier than before. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because your old self is fighting back. The comfort you used to rely on is gone. The distractions that once numbed you aren't available anymore. And so your nervous system screams for the familiar. But if you quit in that moment, if you retreat to the old patterns, you rob yourself of the breakthrough that's just beyond the discomfort. Pain has a purpose if you're willing to listen. It's showing you where the weaknesses are. It's revealing what still needs healing. It's pointing to the areas of your life that were never built on a strong foundation. And yes, that realization stings. But better to face it now with honesty and courage than to live your whole life repeating the same cycles just to avoid short-term discomfort. Because when you numb the pain, you numb the process. And when you numb the process, you stall the evolution. There's a kind of sacredness in pushing through pain. It marks you. It changes your relationship with yourself. When you endure what others avoid, when you keep showing up despite the ache, despite the doubt, you start to build an unshakable belief that you're capable of more than you imagine. And that belief becomes a foundation you can stand on for the rest of your life. So if you're hurting but you're still moving, keep going. If you're uncomfortable but you're growing, don't stop. The pain isn't there to destroy you. It's there to remake you, to strip away what no longer belongs, to forge something stronger, wiser, more disciplined, and more whole. This is what evolution feels like. And the fact that it hurts, that just means it's working. Excuses are clever. They disguise themselves as logic, as reason, as perfectly justifiable explanations. But at their core, they're lies, subtle lies you tell yourself to stay safe, to stay comfortable, to avoid the weight of responsibility. And if you don't deal with them ruthlessly, they will quietly rob you of every ounce of potential you carry. That's why if you're serious about becoming someone new, if you're truly committed to outgrowing the old version of yourself, then you have to burn the bridges to your excuses. Completely, without hesitation, without a backup plan. Because as long as there's a bridge left standing, part of you will always look back. You'll keep a small doorway open to the past, a little escape route in case things get too hard, too uncomfortable, too real. And that's exactly how people stay stuck. They keep telling themselves they'll change when the timing is better, when they're not so stressed, or when they have more clarity. But the truth is, clarity comes after action. Courage comes after you move. Discipline comes after you push through resistance. And none of that will happen if you keep giving yourself a way out every time things get inconvenient. Excuses don't need to be loud to be dangerous. Sometimes they sound responsible. I just want to rest first, or humble. I'm not sure I'm ready. Or even wise, maybe I should wait and think it through. But if you dig a little deeper, you'll find fear hiding behind every single one. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of change. And unless you face that fear head on, you'll build a life designed around avoidance rather than achievement. You'll protect yourself from discomfort at the cost of progress. And one day, that comfort you fought so hard to preserve will turn into regret. There's something liberating about deciding that you're done making excuses. That from this point forward, you don't need ideal circumstances. You don't need permission. And you don't need perfect clarity. You just need to act. You need to wake up and do the work anyway. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Because that's where transformation happens. When you stop explaining your limitations and start confronting them. And here's the truth. You can change. You can build discipline. You can create a new future. But not while you're still holding onto the justifications for why you haven't already. Not while you're still giving energy to the voice in your head that says, it's not the right time, or you're not ready, or what if it doesn't work? Burn those bridges. Burn the ones that lead back to self-pity. Burn the ones built on blame. Burn every excuse that's ever kept you playing small. Because once there's no way back, the only option is forward. That's when you find out what you're really made of. That's when you stop waiting to become the person you've always wanted to be and start becoming them.